Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. This episode is brought to you by our latest Patreon patron, Cyborg Jiro. Today, we'll be discussing Lottie's Gothic Rose Festival, the upcoming Pocket Camp update, and we'll have a new segment called Animal Crossing Wishes. So let's go ahead and get started for the day. Welcome, Sergio.
Hello, Chewy. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention, I'm your host, Chewy Plays Nintendo, and I'm joined with Sergio as always. Lottie's Gothic Rose Festival. What did you think of this one?
Oh, much easier. Wouldn't you agree? That was such a relief. They definitely
Yes.
listen.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think last episode was the episode where we were kind of just complaining about it.
Yes.
So as you all know, Rover's, it was the Garden Safari, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Rover's Garden Safari did not go well in that second half. And luckily, everybody tweeted anytime Nintendo posted anything about it, specifically through the Animal Crossing official Twitter. People were just like, dude, this event sucks. Why are you making it so dang hard? And as I mentioned last time, I spent like all of my Leaf tickets to
Right.
get everything. You know how many I spent this time around?
Zero?
Yes,
Yeah,
0.
exactly.
So on the one hand, it's great for us. On the other, I think it's very clear to Nintendo that they're not going to be making money off
Yeah.
of us.
Right.
So you want to talk about like all of the things that happened during the event?
Sure. So it was very similar to Rover's event. It was divided into phases. You had to plant special flowers and collect special creatures, which were bats this time around. Then you would share those bats and get more seeds. It was basically a repeat. And at first, we were concerned because there was an image before the event started that showed the spawn rates for the creatures and the catch rates, and they looked pretty low. So we were concerned. I think overall, though, Nintendo most likely tweaked those after the image was around. It was a much easier event.
Yeah, I remember that image. I think I was looking at it and I was like, "What? You're telling me like I have a 50% or it seemed low, crazy low, like 20% chance of something spawning."
Right,
And I was like, "That's ridiculous. You're telling me I'm going to plant 20 flowers and only 5 of them are going to have bats on that?"
right, and then who knows how many of those you're gonna catch.
Yeah, so, and then of those, it's 50%. And I was like, this sounds like the same thing we
Yeah,
just went through. But they actually did a lot to fix it up. So, yeah, like you said, there were bats. And as just a side note, I wanted to mention that I really want bat villagers
mhm,
in the game. And I'm hoping that this doesn't mean that we're not going to get them.
right.
Because Animal Crossing's a weird game where you have animals that are sentient beings that you can talk to and hang out with, and then you have animals that are things for catching and eating. So like fish,
Right.
those poor fish. I don't think we'll ever have a fish villager. But
No.
anyway, so bats, I was hoping they would not be like a collectible type of thing and more they would just end up a villager.
Right.
But that's a side note. Anyways, so they did a lot of stuff to fix this event. The first one I noticed was that I, in the last event, you needed 10 butterflies to get a single reward.
Hmm.
In this one, they kind of scaled it up over time. So, like, the first 5 or so were 3 bats.
Right.
And then after that, I think it went up to 5 bats for the reward.
Yeah, right. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, so it was so much easier to get everything that you needed. And it was easier to the point where, like I said, I didn't use a single leaf ticket
Right.
after. Yeah, I just haven't used them. But the good news is now I think I was down to like 62 after that last event, but now I'm back. I earned like 200 leaf tickets
Oh,
from
my.
this. So yeah, it made a big difference.
Yeah, I also didn't spend any, and I know a lot of our Discord members did not, and that was we went in with that goal in mind. We're not gonna spend any lift tickets, and we'll see how it goes. And I think it went really well.
Yeah, I'd say most of us were done like 2 or 3 days before it was over,
Yeah, definitely.
which is a lot of extra time. I didn't end up getting like any more flowers, even though there were essences, because I'm at the point where I have plenty of all the different types of essences except for hip.
Right. Yes.
Um, and I guess did we mention the hip essences last episode?
I don't believe so. We weren't sure if it was official just yet.
All right, we're gonna have to add that after this segment so I can talk a little bit
Hmm.
about the hip things because there's some specific stuff I want to say.
Right.
Um, but anyways, yeah, all I really went for was the extra hip essences because I'm trying to build those amenities. Um, but yeah, so also what I thought was interesting is we saw another new type of flower,
Hmm.
and that was the fusion rose seeds, and they were kind of like blue and purple,
Yeah,
right?
they look very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I thought, I don't know, I guess the design for the roses was weird to me. They looked kind of plasticky.
Hmm.
And yeah, they just looked like plastic and they kind of shined
Yeah,
a
they shine.
bit.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought they looked odd, but I don't know. I'm always excited to see some new things in the game.
Right.
Yeah, so anyways, the one thing I noticed too was last event I didn't finish it. Do you know, because but I finished this one,
Hmm.
and at this one there was like a whole ending concert, you know?
Right.
Did that happen in the last one?
Oh, there was something. I think you drank a cup of coffee with Rover. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh man. Now I'm
That
sad
that
I
you
didn't
wish
get
it
to do
had.
that.
Yep. Yep.
That's why you got two mugs.
Right.
It makes perfect sense now. Well, I only got one mug, and
Oh,
I didn't even try for that other one. I was like, I'm out of Leaf tickets, Nintendo, and I'm not gonna buy anymore.
no.
So yeah, at this one, I was kind of surprised when Lottie had her own little rock concert
Right.
thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, what do you think? Do you think was this event just like too easy now, or do you think it's at a good point?
I thought it was too easy. I think for Nintendo's sake, they're gonna wanna find an in between.
Yeah, and I guess uh, what keeps you planting roses and still playing the event throughout the whole time, I think it's knowing that you really need to reach the bat count to get those final rewards, you know?
Right.
So once I was done, like I said, I didn't really worry about doing the event anymore. I just kind of like stopped. I gave up on doing the other flower stuff.
Hmm.
So I guess in that sense, like if it were just a little bit harder and kept me playing for a little bit longer, like another couple days, I would have probably gotten more of the essences.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, like these events just keep coming, and I'm like, "Ugh, I need a rest."
Right.
I'm already playing this game a lot, along with all the other games I play.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought it was kind of easy, but I don't know. I guess I thought it was nice that it was easy, and I thought it was I don't know. I just after all of the events in a row, I think it was good to have like a little bit of a break.
Right. And I understand why they pretty much repeated Rover's event. It's so similar, even broken down in two phases. I kind of wish it had been a little bit different. Maybe, not sure how, but maybe they could have changed something about it. And definitely, I mean, I don't want to see something like it again. I think we've done enough gardening. They could do something still with the garden for an event, but it should be definitely different than these two.
Yeah, and I'm trying to I guess I'm wondering like how they're going to change that up too because it was essentially the same thing.
Right. Just,
Yeah, and I think
tweaked in the right ways to make it easier.
Yeah. And I think what's fun, I guess, about like the other Animal Crossing games is like an event happens and it's something completely new.
Right.
There's like 1 month where it's bug festivals every weekend or the fish tournament every weekend. So those are things that we'll see throughout the year in like a New Leaf type of game.
Right.
But the other parts of the year, it's like every month has something new that's going on.
Right.
And it's just unique.
Hmm.
But then again, also in Animal Crossing New Leaf, I guess there wasn't too much variety. There would be like that little standee thing where you stick your face through it and you look like you're a hiker or something.
Right.
It was just different iterations of that, and then Isabel's at the town tree,
Hmm.
and she just gives you an item.
Right.
So in some cases, like the holidays aren't as big and different as, you know, uh, like things like Thanksgiving or Halloween.
Right. Now that you mention it, I'm hoping that the next game carries the events part of Pocket Camp and makes those holidays into events that last more than one day, maybe three or a whole week.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. Especially because like the Halloween lasts like the pretty much
Mm.
the entire month.
Hmm.
Like you spend your time talking to your villagers, figuring out what they're afraid of, and buying candy every day at the store.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, I wonder. I guess, yeah, I'd like to see them change up what's going on with the garden. Now that we've seen it twice, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it a third time.
Right, right. Maybe it's time to just add more traditional or maybe new flowers too.
Yeah, that's true. Um, Also, I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I think the flowers, at least the rewards that they've put for flowers, I think they were nice, but they're all kind of the same thing too. Like you can
Mm.
get a fence with this type of flower or a fence with this type of flower, but it's still just two of the same
Right,
fences.
right,
Um, I guess I'd like to see more rewards there.
right.
I
I
think
agree.
I think the most interesting ones were the topiaries,
Hmm.
and I got those right away. But yeah, I'd like to see more stuff pop up in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on to the next thing, before I forget, let's talk about the hip characters that were just added. And with this round, they've added some more top tier
Oh,
level
yes.
villagers. Your favorite, Bob, of
Yeah.
course. Is he living in your campsite already?
Already, yes.
Yeah, mine too, actually. I like them a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a lot of hip villagers in my place right now because I'm trying to get them to give me essences. Unfortunately, they just keep giving me a lot of money. And then somebody else whose essence I don't even need,
Right.
they give me like four of them, and I'm like, dude, why?
No, you give me money.
Yes, you give me money. Let the other people share their essence here. So yeah. Anyways, they added Stitches, who is one of the most popular, if not the most popular villagers in the game.
Yeah.
He lives in my campsite, of course. But yeah, I like the new hip villagers. The What I wanted to talk about was the amenities that we get from them. So what do you think of them so far?
I like them. I have the little mushroom campsite.
Yeah. I saw the tent and somebody tweeted me about it and I don't think they liked it very much and I was like, I like it.
Yeah.
It's like a nice change of pace from the regular tents that we've gotten up until this point.
Yeah.
What's weird about it is like apparently mushrooms are hip. Nobody ever told me
Oh, no.
that. Uh,
I guess we're not hip enough to know that.
Yeah, I'm just like, how are these so hip? And so I thought that was weird. But then the weirdest thing is like, what is that second
Oh,
amenity. It's
oh,
like a couch that looks like a monster and it's got a tongue. And apparently that's super hip too. I just don't know what's going on with
no.
that. I haven't gotten the last one yet, but it looks also weird. So yeah, the hip stuff. We've got a new essence. We've got, I think they added like 7 new villagers,
Right.
which is quite a bit. And then a lot of these villagers actually give you paper.
Hmm.
And paper used to be one of the things that we saw very minimally
Right.
from other villagers. And I think they added paper because I do need paper to level up my I think not only the hip stuff, like a lot of the hip things needed paper,
Hmm.
but also the rustic thing that they
Oh,
added needs
right.
paper.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that was one thing that I noticed. Up until now, most of the things that we've gotten were steel and wood. And it was because those final amenities needed a lot of steel and wood.
Right.
Yeah, but now we've got these super hip things like this couch with the tongue. And yeah, so what do you, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to be.
No, right. I mean, I got it because I have to, but I did not want it.
Yeah, I think I actually have mine in my campsite right now.
Hmm.
And it's just because I think it's so weird. um, so, anyways, that was the big update that happened in this break. And now we've got another pretty huge update coming up. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So it's coming up. They told us this coming Tuesday or Wednesday. So, and by the time you listen to this podcast, it'll be either tonight or the day you listen, which is pretty nice. They're keeping the game updated pretty constantly. This update is gonna include a really big feature, I think. It's gonna be you're gonna be able to dress up your villagers. We talked about this probably 2 episodes ago, where this feature was actually in Happy Home Designer, and now we get it in Pocket Camp. I'm pretty excited myself.
Yeah, I loved it in Happy Home Designer because it was like I would make like a shop, you know? And then I'd give all the people, all the villagers that were working in the shop, I gave them like a uniform type of outfit. The only thing that was unfortunate about that was that sometimes you would give somebody like the uniform, but they wouldn't act like they're running the shop. They would act like a customer. um, so I don't know. I guess it would be cool if in a future game, if you could do that, you could also
Oh,
give them like a role
yeah.
that they play. Um, Man, that would be so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you like start making like all these different shops and things, and yeah, I'd like that a
Right,
lot.
right.
Yeah, so yeah, this update, so there's something happening at OK Motors, right?
They said well, it did happen as part of the last update. They added some special paint jobs that you could get for your camper. 3 new colors, but there's also we don't know the details, but for the next update, there's some minigame called Break Tapper. We don't know. I don't think we know anything else about it besides that. So we had heard before about a minigame using a slot machine at OK Motors, and you would be using your friend powder, which I'm sure everyone has a lot of it by now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got tons of friend powder anytime we shared like bats with our friends.
Yeah.
So I guess that was probably an incentive I should have used more.
Right, we
um,
got more powder than seeds sometimes, so everyone should have a good amount. And if this minigame does use it, I think it should be pretty fun.
yeah, I want to say it was at around like 700 friend powder,
Oh, wow.
which is a whole lot. I'm going to be playing that mini game nonstop as soon
Right.
as it comes out. Yeah. Oh, but I feel like we didn't say enough about the dressing up villagers. So let me go back to that real quick.
Mhm.
Do you think that we're going to like have to use our extra clothing to dress them up?
In a way, I hope so, so that there's an incentive to actually use those and to get duplicates.
Yeah, because I guess I mentioned this, but it was weird to me that some villagers you would level them up and they'd give you their t-shirt, but then you're like, "Oh, I already have this shirt. I don't want it."
Right,
You know? And then I guess I never really sold them, so I just have all these duplicate
right,
pieces of clothing that can be used to dress up the villagers.
right. So
Yeah,
so
so
maybe if we do use extras, for the villagers, if that's the case, I hope they allow us to reorder any that we want. Maybe we can buy one per day.
yeah, that would be pretty cool. Um I guess there is I'm guessing this is like the incentive with clothes crafting.
Hmm.
Um because that's probably going to be the fastest way to get like multiple pieces of things so you're
Right.
not waiting for the shop to show up.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, so and I'm assuming they're going to be able to wear like pretty much everything. I wonder if I don't think they could wear shoes in the
Hmm.
past ones. So it would be pretty cool if you could put kicks on kicks.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to see that added because in the last one, I think you could give them a shirt, an accessory, or a hat. Um, you know what I never tried now that I'm thinking of it? I never got like an afro type of wig or something and tried to put it on a villager.
Right, or the huge masks that you could wear too.
Yeah. Maybe I need to open up Happy Home Designer again sometime and spend some time messing with that
Yeah.
feature. um, but yeah, sorry to keep jumping around, but I do want to go back to the mini game, the break tapper.
Hmm.
I feel so unfocused today. So you mentioned like something like, could this be related to using the brakes in your camper? What do you mean by that?
I'm thinking maybe a little mini game, but because when you're traveling from one area to another, you're driving on your camper, so I don't know, maybe they could figure out a way to make the front powder be used for braking. I'm not sure
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and you know what I'm just remembering right now? When you start the game, do you remember like the loading screen and you were riding around in the camper and if you clicked it, it would jump
Right, right,
and it would let you collect bells?
right. Maybe this could be something like it.
Yeah, we haven't seen that a single
No,
time
right, that's
since.
right.
And I keep thinking like, "Oh, this update is big. We're probably going to have to sit here collecting bells in our camper as we drive around, you know?"
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think this game is in need of some little mini games in between.
Hmm.
Even like, the loading screen when you're going to a new location. Sometimes you sit there for a while, and it would be nice if you're like playing a little camper game.
Right, right. And tapper, maybe you have to tap certain icons or something.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what this is like. I'm glad that it's using friend powder because up until now, you pretty much never need friend powder. There are some items that
Mm.
need it to craft, but it's like pretty much a non thing right
Right,
now.
and it's the item in the game that has, how do I say that? It has the highest limit of how much of it you can have. I believe it's 9,999.
Oh wow.
Right.
That's
So
crazy.
so they're building it up for a reason.
Yeah, that makes me kind of wonder like how much we have to spend to play this game.
Hmm.
Um and if they're going to like make it easier to get more friend powder if it costs a lot to play it.
Right.
So yeah, I think we'll probably know by Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, cuz or Tuesday actually.
Oh,
Just as an update, they do plan on doing maintenance the day this episode comes out, which is Tuesday. Right now, that's planned from 11 a.m. Eastern Time to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't know what that translates to across the world, but here in the States, that'll be pretty much a huge chunk of the day.
right.
Yeah, for me, that'll be like 9 to 3, which I mean, I'm at
Mhm.
work that whole time, so
Right.
I should probably be working and not playing Pocket Camp. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a pretty long break without Animal Crossing.
Right, so it should be a substantial update. And like you mentioned, while we get the update, maybe the minigame will be back.
I hope so, because I want to collect more bells. I have not been spending any of my bells, and right now I'm at like 130,000.
Oh, nice.
And I've been pretty much at that point this whole time,
Mhm.
but I finally started crafting the final item that I need to invite the last villager.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be done with getting every villager, even the new hip ones that they've introduced.
Right.
Um, so right now I'm just like, okay, now I just need 20,000 more bells so I can pay off my final car loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless there's one beyond the 150,000.
Right. I don't think there is.
Okay. Have you finished paying off that car loan?
No. I think I have two only, and I think there's what, four then?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I did.
I don't remember.
I did two upgrades only.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that there were more than two upgrades.
Right, right.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, well, what else can you do? I've already got an upstairs.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right.
So yeah, that was a huge surprise. So I guess while we're at it, real quickly, did you want to go over your progress in Pocket Camp?
Sure. I believe I'm about level 53. And I got all the items from Lottie. I got a good amount of essences and materials, with the flower trade, and I built up KK's rock stage, and then also the amenity one. It's right behind it, so it's like a double rock stage, which I really like.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I really like the rock stage and the street set. Now that at first the street set was not, I didn't like it at all, but
Right.
now I think it's my favorite.
Oh,
Um, and I really want to set up my campsite. I have to decide on which chair I want to use for the audience, but I think I'm gonna do like a little play kind of
mm,
area.
right, right,
Not like a play set, but like a theater,
right,
and the stage is gonna be the background.
right. Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking of doing with mine. So as far as my progress, I think I'm at level 58 now, and I've now finished pretty much probably right now. I finished crafting everything I need to invite every villager, and I have almost every amenity. I'm just still trying to build up that ghost couch tongue thing. I think I have it at level 3 right now.
Mm,
So I still need like 20 something essences to get it to the final 5th level.
right,
And then even then I know I'm going to need 30 more to get it to whatever levels beyond that.
right, right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's essentially where I am. I've been playing a little less. I think I always play a little less right after the event
Yeah,
because I
that's
feel like
right. That's
yeah,
right.
because I feel like I was playing nonstop.
Right.
Yep.
And there's a few more. Well, we don't know the details, but the update is gonna have a few more things. Hopefully, it's the ones that were discussed, I believe, last episode or two episodes ago. For example, putting two rocks on the floor and changes to how the market box is handled. So we're still waiting on that.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that and being able to change the background of your
Oh, right.
campsite.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we'll be surprised and be able to do that come Wednesday or I mean Tuesday, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I desperately want the market box thing. It's so hard just guessing like, oh, maybe they'll have what I need.
Right.
Let's try and go. So yeah, we just need an easier way to look at the market boxes.
Right.
Yeah, which my market box has been empty for a while. I have to play and restock on all the freshest goods.
There was
Um,
also a teaser image of the next event. Did you happen to see it? The one that shows some sort of diamond-looking things?
oh yeah, yeah. I thought it was. I guess I didn't look super closely, so I thought it was just like ice stuff.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so I imagined it was the ice set furniture in New Leaf. I think they introduced this in New Leaf, right?
Right.
And you would get it for catching snowflakes for the snowman.
Right.
Yeah, so she would give you some ice furniture every time you got her something like 3 or 5 snowflakes. I
Right.
forget the number. Um, but yeah, yeah. I wonder when that event's gonna happen. I hope they wait a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I did notice during this last event it was Groundhog's Day. And the villagers were like, "Oh, happy Groundhog's Day. I wonder if it's going to be winter for
Right.
a
Right.
while." And I was like, "Oh man, I feel like this was their chance to bring Rossetti out
Right.
or his brother Don."
Right.
Yeah. I've got a okay, I just thought of this too, but I've got to say the it's been a while since we've gotten a mainline Animal Crossing, you know?
Mhm.
And what's weird to me with these games is like you don't have to save and quit. Like you could just quit.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, like Happy Home Designer, when I first got it, I felt so uncomfortable because I had no idea how to end the game.
Right. Right.
I didn't know how to turn it off. I was like, I need to save and quit and go to where's my bed where I sleep. So yeah, it's just like Amiibo Festival, nothing matters,
No.
and Pocket Camp, you just quit. It's gonna be weird.
Yeah, you can just quit whenever. That's true. It's not getting us used to the normal way of saving.
Yeah, so that's just my random thought of the
Yeah.
day.
I liked
um,
it.
yeah. So, anyways, speaking of features in Animal Crossing, let's go ahead and start this new segment, Animal Crossing Wishes. And for this segment, a little background. So we have our Patreon supporters, and I really, as one of my promises for, or one of our promises for people who support us on Patreon, we really want to be able to make their voices heard. And this is going to be an example of that. So the past couple of weeks, I asked our supporters what was one feature that they wanted to see in the next Animal Crossing, and they gave us their answers, and we also have our own answers. And so yeah, Sergio, you have a pretty big answer. So do
Right.
you want to go through that?
Sure. You're right. So I went with the big one right away. Um, it, uh, I mean, I hope I can describe it properly in that it's understood. I'm thinking of it basically it's like an online towns system. So you could think of it like an MMO feature. It could be a little bit hard for implement, especially for Nintendo, because we know they're not as online oriented as some of the other companies. That would definitely change now that we will start paying for the online service, though. So I think this is certainly doable.
Yeah, it
The
starts in September, by
Yeah,
the
that's
way.
right.
Yeah, so I'll comment on that later, but keep going.
Okay. So basically, you would visit pre-made towns that could mimic real life locations. Like, for example, there's a town that represents New York, there's another that is Paris, Tokyo, etc. There could also be some that are from video games, like you could visit Hyrule or Viridian City, from Pokemon, or Inkopolis from Splatoon. So there's a lot of potential. Now,
Yeah.
the way this would work, it would be a ideally it would be a rather large town so that there could be a lot of players at once, as many as the system could handle. Maybe 12. I mean, if they really polish it and take their time working on it, it could be, up to 24 because, when you go on vacation, there's a lot of people there also on vacation usually. So it would be nice to have as many villagers as possible.
So, question real quick. So, what do you mean by like vacation kind of thing? So, because now I'm kind of envisioning like if I were to vacation to New York and there were like this online town that I could only see while in New York, like it was location based, or do you just mean like I don't know, like an in-game vacation?
Right, it's an in-game vacation, so there's always, a New York, and you may have to schedule a certain time when you're able to visit. So maybe you even have to build up, um, I guess enough bells to buy a ticket or maybe a new item that would allow you to travel maybe once a month or once every other month, and you would select where you want to go.
Yeah, and that's pretty much like a bigger version of the online island. I think they called it Tortimer's Club, right?
Right,
Um, because yeah, you paid 1,000 bells and then you could go.
right.
Yeah, I think the one thing that always bugged me about that island was whenever somebody like came or left, it would stop everything
Yes.
and save.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, so it would be cool if they fixed that type of feature.
Yeah, for sure.
What I like about this is I think for me, when I thought of having an online town, I thought of it in the sense of like population growing. You all and you could have multiple files in the game, and you all lived in that town square,
Right.
but you were essentially limited to playing one at a time. And I think what's interesting, well, I like that your idea is very different from mine because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like live with your friends in a town again,
Hmm.
but this time like you could all visit that town at once.
Right, right.
Yeah, so that was my vision of online towns, but I really want to go to like Viridian City or Inkopolis. So
Right,
I like that aspect too, like if there were already pre-made areas that you could
right,
visit.
right. And most of them would be designed by Nintendo. I guess there could be hopefully a feature that you could also design a large town, and if Nintendo likes it, it could set it up.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So I guess so once you are in the town, what type of activities do you think people can do?
So since it would mostly be based on either real life locations or game or fantasy related locations, there could be, special monuments, maybe like the Statue of Liberty or special buildings, special, places that you could visit and take photographs at. And there's always a special event going on, or you could go to this, even new things could build up. Like, oh, there's this really popular Animal Crossing coffee shop in Dubai, and that could become like a new thing, and everyone wants to go, and the coffee is very expensive.
You
So
know,
go ahead.
uh, yeah, so real quick, you just gave me an idea, but it would be cool if like so getting public work projects in your town is pretty hard to do in New Leaf.
Right,
They essentially have to ping and then you have to get lucky and have them ask you for something new to build, right?
right, right.
It'd be really cool if you could take photos of like the sites in those places and then come back to your town hall and request it yourself.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, why can't you request your own?
Yeah, because I mean, you live there too, and you want it to look nice. And so maybe the one thing I would do with that is there would probably need to be a limit. So you can't just get everything in one day, you know?
Right, right.
Like, it'd be cool if they spread it out so it's like, oh, you can get a new public works or you can suggest a new public works once a week.
Hmm.
Because then, if they're like 52 public works, it'll take you a whole year to get them if you
Yeah,
do
right,
it that using that method, you know?
right. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think the fun thing about Animal Crossing is like the longevity of the game,
Right,
and because you can't just play Animal Crossing for a day, you have to play it for years
right,
to truly get what you want out of it.
right. That's why I think this little vacation to online towns, you couldn't really go every day or maybe every week. That's who goes on that many vacations, right? So it would be maybe like a monthly thing, and certainly goes hand in hand with your comment that Animal Crossing you're gonna be playing it for years.
Yeah, so I like that because in the sense it gives you something to look forward to at some point in your week, you know?
Right, right,
Because that's the fun thing. Like right now I can think of essentially turnips every Sunday. Sunday before noon is the only time that you can buy turnips and play that stock market, you know?
right,
So I think that that's pretty awesome.
right.
So you also mentioned, I guess, having a lot of people in a town. Um, do you think there's going to be like a problem online with having multiple people? Like, how is it going to be policed or?
Right, right. So for example, let's be wishful and let's say they do make it to be up to 24 villagers at once. You know, 24 is still a low amount considering the number of people that are going to be playing. So what I was thinking is there could be different copies of New York. For example, there could be one for each time zone in the United States. So there would be four. That would help a little bit. Basically, there's 24 times four spaces for people to visit New York at different times. You would also be limited to how many hours you can be there. When you go on vacation, you're gonna be there, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 hours, and then it's time to let someone else that is in line visit each town, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I was trying to think. I wonder how the island worked in terms of online and how many like different islands they had because I mean, obviously they needed a lot of islands ready. Just
Right.
thinking of like, each one is limited to 4 players.
Right, right,
So, yeah, I guess I never thought of that, like how much needs to be in there.
right. I mean, the way I see it is because I want the towns, for example, if they change, I want the changes to be permanent. There could be different, there could be always a version of New York that it's always there and it doesn't change. And, you can go at any time, but I want it to be consistent. That's why I want that when you go to New York, it's always that same New York, but you might run into different people.
I see. Um, and as far as changes go, like what kind of changes are you thinking could be made to the town?
Oh, they could build new buildings, or a new restaurant could open up, or like normal world events or changes, and you could be a part of that.
Yeah. No, I really like that idea of just like being able to build a place with other people.
Right, right. So you could see how that town changes, and if you really like a town and you want to go on vacation there every time, you could build even like a little storybook with your pictures of how it's developing.
Yeah. And you know what would be really interesting too, because you've mentioned like different real world places. What would be interesting is if they, like you said, there's the Eiffel Tower or I don't know, something in New York, that you can only find there.
Right,
It'd just be cool if like that was also the only place where you could get that public work project.
right, right.
Yeah, so I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, right. And also like little souvenirs that you could bring to your villagers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because now you're just like traveling around like Gulliver. What
Yeah.
if, okay,
Oh,
Gulliver takes you in his UFO to these places, his wild world, and I think in City Folk he also used a UFO.
Hmm.
Or maybe he still sails or something. But I think that's awesome too.
Yeah, that's perfect. He should be tied to this. Yeah, this is it. This is his.
Yeah, and then that also coincides with like the once a week ability to go to a special town.
Right,
Because once a week there was a chance that you could see Gulliver, you know?
right. Hmm.
Yeah, so it'd be cool if you like talk to Gulliver and he's like, "Hey, I want to go on a trip, but I'm looking for a travel companion." And maybe he has you because you know he's always suffering from memory loss.
Right,
He'll be like, "Oh, I went to this one place that had these one things," and he gives you like three options, you know. And
right.
he'll take you to, you don't have to answer it correctly, but he'll just take you to whichever one you pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. See, we're already figuring out how this would work.
That's so awesome.
And it'd be super fun. I'd be
Yeah.
into that. Because
Oh yeah.
then it'd be like, oh, you get that special souvenir from Gulliver, but then you also get to experience the place that it's from.
Right, right.
I love that.
Now, of course, with that many players, and I don't want the town to feel limited, like, oh, you cannot pick flowers or you cannot pick fruit. I want you to be able to do whatever you wanted. That's why I'm thinking there should be something like a police, but I came up with a better name for that, something like a peacekeeper. So it could be either run by Nintendo or it could be by players. If you build up enough good reputation, you become a peacekeeper to whatever town you prefer. And let's say you get assigned New York for 1 week. So throughout the week, you have to spend maybe 1 or 2 hours a day policing New York and making sure people are not running through flowers or just emptying all the trees, picking all the fruit. So the thing is, it would have to be at least three peacekeepers per town, so that there's enough peacekeepers to vote on whatever issues may need to be resolved.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe like these towns can work a little bit differently where you get designated areas where you could do these things.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I guess yeah, I wonder how that would work too because you obviously want the town to look nice, you know,
Right,
but you don't want it and you don't want it to just get destroyed by all of these people all the time.
right.
Um so maybe there are like certain aspects of the town that like you can't chop down these trees or I don't know. Um Yeah, I guess that's hard to do because you want a lot of freedom there,
Right,
but you also don't want it to be nice, or
right, right,
you don't want it to get messed up.
right. Maybe it could just reset, at 6 a.m. every day. It could reset back to normal.
Yeah, or maybe like every month too. Like it could be a real, I guess, experiment to see if people can come together and make something amazing.
Right, right.
Yeah. And then with the Switch having so many easy ways to, get a capture
Hmm.
or like a little 30-second video of it,
Oh,
like
lovely.
those would be memories of the progress of that place in a
Oh,
month.
God. Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then it just disappears forever.
Right.
And you have to start over again. Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. Um, especially I guess I don't know. There's so many ideas that could come with this, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking maybe like early on in the week you can destroy a lot of stuff and plant things and I don't know, maybe the next week some things are frozen so you can't move them and
Hmm.
yeah, and then eventually it gets to the end of the month and you're like this is what it looked like by the end of our construction period.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Or, it could be kind of like a democracy type of thing, and people can vote and say, like, oh,
Oh,
I really
yes.
like this thing here. Maybe we should all agree to leave it there.
Yeah, right.
And so, like, if like, say you build a public work somewhere on there and everybody votes, like, oh, that's really great. It looks good there. So then it just makes it stay.
Right, right.
So I don't know. There could be a lot of ways to make it pretty awesome, but
Yeah,
at the same time, I'm like, there could be a lot of ways that these places could just get destroyed.
yeah, yeah. So it would have to be very well upkept and very, very detailed. Um, Another thing is that the online servers would have to be really stable. So, since we're gonna be paying for it, like you said, starting in September, I think it's time for Nintendo to provide us with that stable internet services that this would definitely need.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought this up because I was about to forget. But the online service, so it's something we've been waiting essentially since last year. We thought it was going to
Mhm.
be, I don't know, happening pretty much fall of last year. I think that was
Right.
the initial
Yes.
announcement. Then it got pushed back to winter, got pushed back to early
Mm.
2018. But now we have a month, essentially September this year. That's when we start using or paying for online, you know?
Right. Hmm.
And I think a lot of people who have been talking about this have been trying to think of clearly Nintendo has a game in mind for this service, you know?
Mm. Right.
While I don't think that's necessarily true, I do think if Animal Crossing had like an online town feature like this, it would work a lot better if we were paying for a service, you know?
Right. Yes. Hmm.
So, because then, I mean, if we're paying, they can, I don't know, spend the time hiring actual staff to watch over these little online towns.
Right.
How cool would that job be?
Yeah. Oh.
You could just be in Animal Crossing for your job. That's amazing.
Yeah. Right.
Um, so, anyways, I don't know. That's for sure wishful thinking. I don't think
Yeah.
it'll get to that point. But I do think, like, you know, Animal Crossing needs some pretty great online features. So I wouldn't count it out as a game that would benefit from this, you know?
Right. Right. Hmm.
Yeah. So, was there anything else you wanted to say about your one feature?
No, it's very out there. There's a lot of little details that would need to be worked out, but I think there's a lot of potential. And you know how they always say Animal Crossing should be an MMO. It should have this and that online feature. I think this is a really good one that is feasible nowadays, especially like we're saying now that we're gonna be paying for online. That also means there's gonna be less people playing online because there's others that are just gonna decide not to pay. So I think it's doable. I think it's doable, and there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, I think so too. And just as another side note, a Zelda MMO would also be very cool.
Oh
Like if
yes,
I could just play as a Goron and roll around everywhere, that'd be pretty tight.
right.
So yeah, no, I like your idea. I think it's cool. And once again, I want to reiterate, everybody, this isn't stuff that's happening. This is just like our wishes of
Mm,
things that we want to see. So with that, let's actually get into our patrons. Dazed House said that she wants a catalog of previously purchased house decorations or sidings. She hates that she can't go back and reskin her house with the paint job she's already bought, so she just ends up waiting for Nook to have it again.
mm.
Um, I think I'm actually surprised we don't have this already.
Yeah, it makes sense. I remember a few times I had to visit either my second town or other towns looking for a certain decoration that I really wanted soon.
Yeah, so I think just over time it would be helpful to have that as like a catalog thing. So you can say, hey, I really want to build this. And it's funny because I realized my habit, I guess my expectation with these kinds of things is like what's on the shelf is what is available. So my
Hmm.
first time in Pocket Camp going to the camper thing, I was trying to click on the different camper styles that they have displayed.
Hmm. Right, right,
My initial thing was like, "Oh, let me try clicking on this and seeing like what it costs."
right.
But that's not how it works at all. Instead, you talk to the OK Motors guys and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's your selection." And I'm like, yes, this is how it should work. You know?
Yeah, everything is available right there, and as you get it, it builds up in your catalog, so you can get it again whenever you feel like it.
Yeah. But I think I like the idea of building up your catalog with stuff
Yes.
because I'm a completionist with this game. I'm going to try to buy everything, especially if it's a catalog thing. So
Right.
if I can buy a, a certain door for my home, I'm going to try to buy every single door, you know?
Right.
So I think that's an awesome idea because it just extends more, it just extends the game some more.
Right, right, and it would bring additional exterior elements to the mainline games. We had plenty of that in Happy Home Designer. We have even more of that in Pocket Camp. I, I really want this would be the perfect way to introduce additional exterior decorations. For me, I just want a terrace.
Yeah, that would be so good.
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, I love that. Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm just like, dude, there are so many different things you can do with your home.
Yeah.
Especially, uh, I guess I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm only allowed to pick one thing. But this came into my mind. It would be cool if like in this next one you could have a yard and
Yes.
you got like different options for what your yard could look like.
Right, right.
I don't know. There's a lot. Maybe I'll talk about that more in depth next time because I don't want to ruin my actual thing.
Mm.
Um, so, anyways, yeah, this is a great idea. The next one is from Cyborg Jiro, who brought you this episode, everyone. He said, okay, I think it would be more variety in house upgrades. Oh, so maybe we are going to get to talk about this. Um, like, maybe not the normal boring you always get in upstairs, downstairs, left, right, back room on the first floor. Maybe let us choose what we want. Maybe I just want a large basement, medium upstairs, with one extra room upstairs, and on the main floor, maybe I don't want a back room. And why do
Mhm.
they always have to be square rooms? I want cool room shapes like Happy Home Designer, like a long hallway with the small rooms connected to it, that kind of thing. Let you control your house upgrades more.
Yeah, definitely big agree right there.
Yeah, and I think the one thing is you did have a little bit of a choice as far as like what you wanted to add to your home. So I think the main room you always had to make the biggest before you could get
Mhm.
that choice, but once it
Right.
was, you could. But I think what he's getting at is like right off the bat, it would be cool if you could just like if you had the smallest little house that you could get with that 4x4 block area,
Right.
if I could upgrade my place and immediately just add an upstairs, that'd be awesome.
Right. Right.
So I think that's what he means by that. And I think that's totally fair. Like, if you want to make your house bigger, you want to make the house bigger in the way you want it to be, you know?
Right. Hmm.
So I think that's an awesome idea. Especially like the different room shapes. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm already geeking out on the idea of making that entrance a hallway
Yeah.
that takes you just into the rest of the place.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that'd be super awesome.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. There's they definitely. I mean, it seems like a really big no-brainer. What if if you want your left and right or even your back room to be upstairs, you should be able to.
yeah, and I like the idea of having like we've only ever had like one room upstairs, you know,
Right. Hmm.
and it'd be cool if you built two rooms upstairs instead of just the one.
Right.
And I guess what I like about this idea too is, or I guess in a way, maybe there should be some limits. For example, with a house in New Leaf, you got the main room, three more rooms on that floor. So the first
Hmm.
floor has like four different rooms, you know?
Right.
And then you got an upstairs and a downstairs.
Right.
Was there an attic? I don't think there was.
No. Hmm.
Okay. So essentially you got 6 rooms total. Um, it'd be cool if you could design your house any way you wanted, but maybe you were limited to like 8 rooms, you know?
Right. Right.
That
Perfect.
way it's like, oh, you can make your house really big, but at some point it can't get any bigger.
Right. Right. And if you wanted a backyard, it could be one of the eight.
Oh, yeah. And the front yard. Maybe those
Yeah.
would be the 2 additional things.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
Wow. I'm geeking out over that
Yeah.
because I'm already like, what am I gonna do with my backyard?
I'm getting a pool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Some of those amenities would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Another thing that would be cool with this is like, why limit like what you can do once it's already built? Like, it'd be cool if you could destroy a part of your
Yeah.
room or house and then rebuild something else, you know?
Yeah. On the other floor, maybe if you want to.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to not have to ever end that.
Right.
It,
Right.
yeah, because I think that's always been the main goal in the game, paying off your house, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but I think I always reach that point, especially with like New Leaf, and I'm like, man, I don't want to have the biggest house. I want to change the sizes of my rooms because I saw
Right.
somebody with this really cool small bathroom, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So I think it'd be good to like on top of that add, you know, just a more customization in the future. Like
Right. Hmm.
everything's already paid off, but then you're like, "Oh, you know what? I don't want this room anymore. Let's start over and pay it off again to build this other room."
Right.
Yeah. So I like that idea a lot, and it kind of goes into my idea. So I Cyborg Jiro actually changed his answer a bit, but I went with his original one because my idea was his other answer. And it kind of goes off of this like, so the main goal of the Animal Crossing is typically paying off your loan, you know?
Right.
So I want to see them expand that by and take advantage of your mayoral duties in the town.
Hmm.
And it would be cool if there was like a monetary goal as mayor that would allow you to expand the town. Um, and maybe you don't have to start with like the biggest town already, because you know, you essentially go into a town and what you see is what you get, right?
Right. Right.
But maybe you go into this town and it's just like a small little place. And as you grow and earn some more money, you can invest it into growing the town so you can attract more villagers, more shops, you know, that kind of
Mm.
thing.
Right.
And I don't know, I think it's funny that Animal Crossing tends to make like all of these mundane daily activities like doing chores and paying off your mortgage fun to do.
Right.
So it'd be kind of fun to be like, oh, I'm collecting taxes so I can grow this town even bigger.
Right.
Because, you know, nothing's more mundane and boring than doing taxes. So, you know, Animal Crossing would be great at
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I would like to see that be a new goal in the game.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think I get you. So, for example, there could be like a landfill that you start with, and you have to build a lot of money to be able to eventually redo it into like a park or something nice.
Yeah, and then like maybe your town is so small, like only 4 little animals can live in there, you know?
Right.
And as you grow and extend that place some more, 2 more animals can move in, you know?
Right.
Um, s-
Right.
so it'd be cool to see that kind of thing and, you know, make you feel like, oh man, I'm really doing something to grow this town.
Right. Right.
Because I think, because New Leaf was essentially the first game where we were mayor, you know?
Right.
And it was the first game where we can build, we got more control over our town. We build public works projects and we make it look nice. And that was really great. I think it definitely grew the game a lot. But I think it'll only grow more if you're like, okay, now let's make them feel or let's make the players feel like, wow, this town used to be nothing, but now I've started being mayor and it's really
Mm.
something, you know?
Yeah, yeah, right. And since you're in control basically from the start, the towns are going to be really different. I'm not sure if you were thinking along these lines, but for example, if you wanted, you could have Main Street on the left side or on the right side instead of, always out front.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. I was like, where are the shops gonna be? And I
Right.
guess I do like the convenience of like going to Main Street, and that's where everything, like all the main things that you go to shop are.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it'd be cool if maybe you have like a residential area and a business area,
Hmm.
and I don't know, different maps can let you choose which side they're on, or
Oh, right,
you
right,
know, because we did get to choose what our map looked like in this
right.
game. Um, so yeah, maybe that's something we choose at the beginning. Like, where do we want our main street? Where do we want our residential area?
Right, so we're talking about zoning basically, and then you have to apply for rezoning.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. See, just Animal Crossing. It knows how
Yeah,
to turn regular everyday life into something you really want to do.
yeah, right.
Yep. So, man, I don't know. Overall, I would just really like to see them expand on town development in the game.
Yes, right,
You know,
right.
because they've always done a great job of like doing your own house development, you know.
Hmm.
But I think now that we have grown into this mayor duty, like it'd be nice to feel like you're developing the town even more than you already could.
Right, right. Then the next level of control, basically.
Yeah. So, did you have any more comments on these ideas?
No, I really like them. I want them all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be upset if even one of these doesn't make it in there.
Yeah. I would like to see at least I don't know. I'm just excited to see what's going to come, and I hope this whole series doesn't like build up our hopes too much in what we're expecting.
Right,
But, you know, you never know who's listening and what will happen in the next Animal Crossing, you know?
right, right.
Like I had no idea we were going to be mayor in this latest one. So
Yeah,
it's cool that so many big things can change still.
yeah. Hmm.
So I guess that's our show, and we're going to end pretty quick with some reminders. We have a contest going on, and it's open for anybody in our Discord. And this contest is the Guess the Subtitle contest. And essentially, we have a spreadsheet. Anybody in our Discord can make 5 guesses as to what they think the new Animal Crossing subtitle will be. What's an example, Sergio?
For example, Home and Abroad,
Ye-
Home Sweet Home.
Yeah, you've got Animal Crossing Home and Abroad and Animal Crossing Home Sweet Home. So if you think you know what the next Animal Crossing is going to be called, go ahead, join our Discord. You can make 5 guesses. Our Patreon patrons can make 10 guesses, so they get even more opportunities. And of course, this is a contest, so you know there's a prize involved. The person who guesses correctly will win a copy of Animal Crossing Switch, whatever it's called. And unfortunately, Animal Crossing Switch has already been taken as a guess, so it is gone. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to hurry up and join the Discord and find that contest and enter for your best odds. Get your guesses in quick. And once again, if anybody wants to make their voice heard on these episodes, if you want to be like Dazed House or Cyborg Jiro and give us your one feature that you want to see in the next game, this is an opportunity that's open to supporters on Patreon. So, like I said, Patreon, we're trying to just ramp up our rewards that we give people. It's only $1 a month or so, so it's really nothing, practically nothing. But yeah, we're trying to make it as cool as possible. I've made special episodes of Desert Island Escape on Amiibo Festival, and I've taken your favorite, Sergio, as well.
Right.
Your favorite non-villager, non-playable characters. It's a confusing category. But
Right.
your choices were, of course, KK, Slider, DJ
Right.
KK. Just kidding, I couldn't use them.
Right. Right.
Was it, who are your others? I always
Also, Kix and Pascal.
right. Yeah, great choices. So yeah, we're trying to make a lot of really great things. Sergio mentioned some of his stuff last week about making digital art, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so anyways, if you want to support us on Patreon, it goes a long way. We're going to be doing tons of really great things. So anyways, thank you all for listening. This has been Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, and we will talk to you all in a couple weeks.
Bye bye.